Hello, hello, good morning. Good morning, good morning to you. Hello, everybody. My name is RODGON. I'm an artist, I'm a teacher, I'm an illustrator, but mostly I'm a cartoonist. And I love teaching you guys how to draw stuff. So, if you guys have never seen me before, woo, are you guys in for a treat? Today we're going to be following up on my buddy Wes's intro warm-up. And he, I believe, talked about swooshies. What is a swooshie, Rod? Not a sushi, not a piece of sushi. No, not a piece of sushi. A swooshie. If you guys are not familiar with what a swooshie is, I'm going to show you guys in a second. And you guys are going to learn how to draw bodies really, really good today. So, a swooshie is a basic way how your lower body works. Your lower body, let me see if I can find a page of swooshies that I've done. Yeah, there you go. There's one good example. So a sushi is this essentially. You're going to consider your belly button as the center of your mass. Yay, little belly button. And then you're going to go from the edges. You're going to go down and back up. Swoosh, swoosh. Okay? By doing that, you give yourself 2 contact points with the sphere. Those contact points, if you create a circle, create your hip bones. Yay! So now, once you find your hip bones, you can move those little sushis into space and move them and bend them and flex them and twist them and do anything you want to them, and it comes out really cool. So that is one of the stages in learning how to draw your body properly and how to learn how to pose it and stuff like that. So we are going to be going over the sushi today because Wes decided that we're going to do that today. I kind of like that. I'm going to allow Wes the opportunity and any of my other mods, if you guys ever want to do something to help grow your own channel, if you guys are helping me, I will help you guys too. I will do my best to encourage you guys being able to grow your own channels, do your own thing. If you guys want to also teach or you guys just want to show your artwork, I will encourage this. Okay? I am not a gatekeeping person at all, and I like to see the people that help me succeed. So let's, if you, especially Wes and Insomniac have been really, really helpful for me. They have been incredibly, incredibly helpful, and they've not asked anything in return. So for being that kind to me without any sort of like prompt or anything, I want to do what I can to make sure that what they want to achieve in the world of art, at least I can help them with that. So that is how I treat my people. I like my people to be taken care of. Even if I can't do it financially, because I don't make that much money doing this. But I can at least try my hardest to use what I can to make sure that their lives are a little bit better because of helping me. Anyways, hi. Thanks for the force is strong with me. I've been watching Star Wars, The Mandalorian. I have been rewatching that one. So that's been really, really cool. He eats frogs, right? Yeah, it's been fun rewatching Star Wars and actually seeing it with somebody that's never seen those before. It's been really, really cool. How to watch a stream without chat? I don't know. I think you just would swipe down or just click on it. I don't know. I don't know what you do. But unfortunately, the chat is awesome and I love the chat. So I'm not going to remove the chats ever. The sushi can be taken in stages. I'm going to show you guys every single stage of the sushi, okay? The sushi starts with a sphere. So first you got to draw a circle, and then you got to draw a circle inside that circle to come up with your midline. Okay, just draw a circle inside. And now you have your front and you have your spine. Cool. So now by doing that, that's stage 1. Stage 2 is going to be to draw your 2 little horns coming down. Now you can do this 2 different ways. You can draw a little circle and then draw it, or you can draw the spike and then draw the circle. Depending on how you visualize things, one of them might be easier than the other, right? You might have this and you want to move your legs this way. Well, you move your midline, you move your circles, and then now you have your legs this way. Yay! Okay. You can start little and just learn to tilt your body like a starfish. Right? Start little. Start by dividing a sphere in 4 and then doing little chibi bodies by drawing little spheres coming out of it. Right? Learn how to draw your bodies like little tiny spheres with 4 openings. Yay! At this stage, this simple stage, you can do a lot. Like pretty much the whole entire industry of chibi characters is based on this. So, if that's the only way you can draw bodies, take full advantage of it and learn how to do things with those bodies. Okay? If that's all you know how to do, you can do a lot with that. You can take this basic knowledge of dividing a very simple shape in 4, giving it any face, and now you have something really cute. Okay? Your imagination is going to be a bigger component in you being able to draw something cool than your art skills will ever be. A person that's creative, a person that has imagination and creativity will see a circle and not just see a happy face, but they'll see eyes, they'll see rib cages, they'll see body parts, they'll see a lot of things within these structures. The reason being is because they have the ability to put imagination into that very simple shape, right? Everything we draw is based on these elements. It depends on how you're able to visualize it and put imagination on it. That is going to turn something from a simple sphere to something more complex down the line. But if you can't do that at this stage, if it's really hard for you to come up with creative things at very basic stages, it's going to be really hard for you to do more complex things that require a lot more knowledge. Like faces, heads have so much like things you have to learn to draw in order to draw them efficiently. And the more you want to add details like hair and wrinkles and glasses and mustaches and necks and bodies, all that stuff comes with having to understand how a more complex structure happens. If you can't do it at this stage, this is going to seem like an impossible task. Or doing it accurately is going to seem like an impossible task. So what I suggest is that you start at this stage, very simple. If you don't know how to draw bodies, start like this. And then I'm going to show you how you progress. Okay? You start with your little simple shapies from a sphere. Then after you get used to these, you're going to make it a little longer and you're going to divide it into 3 instead of 2. So right now it's just 2. Then you're going to go into 3. You're going to put those circles at the top and at the bottom. And now you have a midsection for your body. Okay? Once you learn that midsection properly, you're going to be able to now manipulate all 3 sections. So now you're going to be able to rotate things a little bit more. you're gonna be able to move your things a little bit more. And when you start adding more elements like extra limbs, so you don't make a chibi, you start coming up with a very simplistic version of your body. Okay? When you start adding things like heads and stuff like that, that's when you start seeing the actual character. Little by little, that will turn into something more akin of this. Still 3 sections, right? But the sections are going to be divided a little bit more differently. The 2 big muscle groups, or the big sections, are going to be your hip bones and your rib cage, with a little bit of your stomach. And then from those same circles that you learn how to draw in both of these, that's where your legs come out from. So you're not really changing the way that you're drawing, you're just adding things to these. That's all you're doing. So you go from this to this, and then that's where perspective stops, and that's when anatomy kicks in. That's when you need to learn a little bit more about your body. You need to learn how your bones stick out, how your arms connect to your body, and all that stuff, right? I'm coming up with a couple different ways to teach that better. And I think I'm coming up with a very good solution to it. It's going to be similar to the hip bones, but I have to find the connecting point with this, right? And I think it's around the shoulder and into the pectoral. And I think the pectoral leads to that circle. So if we go like that, that is going to be a very accurate way to learn how to draw that body part. But I haven't mastered this yet. So I don't want to teach it yet because I haven't really mastered the way that I want to explain it. You know, I don't like teaching things that I don't really understand, because then you get misinformation sometimes. And it's just, something I want to avoid as much as possible. So, okay, anyways. So now we went from little simple shape. So we went from 1 to 2 to 3 to still 3. Just evened out a little bit more spaced out. 1, 2, 3. And then once you get there, once you understand these parts are in your body, well, now you can change the size of them. Let's change the rib cage to be smaller, and we want the hips to be bigger. Same distance in between. Well, now I have a character that has really big thighs. Okay? And a really little rib cage. So now if you wanted to make someone with thickness, you could do that. If you wanted to create somebody with a bigger upper body, you would just make that big shape in the rib cage a little bit bigger, the hip bones a little bit smaller, and when you start connecting things, you're going to get a different body structure. You're going to get more of a superhero type of guy. So, learning what's inside. When I connect the legs to the hips, the pelvis and glutes always look awkward. Well, okay, hold on. Let's connect the legs to the hip in every way possible, okay? From the front, we're gonna draw our little sushi. If it's a front shot, you might just wanna have them even. That's perfectly fine. Draw your little triangles for the bottom. And now from the front, you're gonna go from the inside to the outside and create 2 circles. Okay? That is gonna be your hip bones. From here up, you can draw your hip bone line. And your goodies are gonna be right here. This hip bone line and this one are essentially what's going to connect your leg. Now, this looks really simple, so you might not think that you could add a lot of muscle and stuff like that, but all you gotta do is add overlapping lines and you have muscle structures. That's all you have to do to these. All you have to do is this. And then you have muscle structures that you can bend and take into space and do whatever you want. Right? So starting with your very simple shape, keeps you from being static. Learning how to overlap those shapes might take a little while, but at least you know that you're in the right direction. Once you find those hip bones, anything that you draw coming out of there is going to look more accurate than not. So make sure that you find those connection holes, because that's the important part. The important part is finding those connecting holes, because that's where your legs come out from, right? Positioning them after that is just a matter of changing lines going to a different direction. But these little hip holes are the whole concept of perspective, comes from understanding that circle, because that's what's going to give that shape perspective. That circle is what allows you to draw clothing and stuff like that really easy. Because it gives you all those perspective lines. And clothing is just parallel stuff to our bodies. So it's literally just going, if our leg is right here, my clothes are literally going the same direction, just bunching up a little bit because they hit the ground. That's all that is. So if I want to find that perspective of anything like clothing, I find the volume of my shape, and then I can just play around with making that bigger, smaller, and then just fitting it around my shape. So once you learn how to draw something like a foot in this very simple shape, start drawing circles inside. Just draw circles. Those circles, make them bigger. Yay, you have pants. That circle, make it bigger to one side. Yay, you have Converse shoes. Ooh, make it bigger. Now you have the front. Yay. Congratulations, you have solved clothing. Clothing is easy as hell. Like clothing, once you learn basic volume control, like very, very basic volume. Let's just draw a hand. Okay. Drawing circles inside, touching the edges, gives you volume. It doesn't really matter what direction you do them. You're not going to draw them completely off from what you're supposed to. You know, you're going to, if you know what a cylinder is supposed to be like, right? Just connect the edges of two circles. Well, if you do that to multiples, what do you think happens? It's the same thing, right? So you're going to practice doing that so you can draw hands and arms and feet. And then when you want to add clothing to these, just follow these lines and fill in with negative space. Follow these lines and design whatever you feel like. Use those lines for overlaps. That is how you learn how to draw better. Observe, and then implement your foundations. Observe and foundations. Fingers are the same thing. Same exact shit. Legs, same thing. From the front, from the back, from any direction, as long as you find how to connect that body part to the body in that angle that you need, that is the hardest part about actually drawing legs. Learning how it connects to the body is the hardest part. The legs themselves are easy as hell because they're literally just cylinders once you find the right angle. So let's talk about how do you find that angle. And that's what the sushi is for. The sushi, because you can't fuck up a sushi. There's no way to mess up a sushi. Okay, so you start with a circle, and then you do, boop, that's step one. Step two, you draw two little horns on the side connecting to the side. Bah, 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 bah. Okay, that's step two. Step three, you give it feet. Bah, bah. The feet can go in any direction. Any direction. Okay, just make sure that the feet just kind of match. That's literally the whole power of this. Then number three, let's change the direction. Let's make one bigger, one smaller, so you guys see that you can't really mess them up. It's just a different pose. From here and here, where it connects to the body, it's already a circle. So just close it out with another circle. Point here, point here. Now you have hip bones. From the top of these two circles, you can draw another circle that connects, and now you have surface and volume for your body. So now you have a back and a front, you have a side, so you can just build your character up from there. And the middle of that sushi is your belly button. So when you decide that you want to draw things like pinups and stuff, all you gotta do is taper in from that belly button. And now you have the sexy ladies that you wanna do, blah, 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 blah. Right? All the crazy fit people that you guys wanna draw, it comes from the sushi too. So you don't have to choose that these are just chubby little characters. You can take this very basic concept, that's the belly button, hip bones, and then just taper it in to whatever you desire. Make these longer, add your breasts, whatever you feel like drawing, you know? It's gonna make it easier for you to understand how these things are, complex body parts are put together. So yeah, sushis teach you that. From the profile, this is how you would draw a sushi from a profile. The circle just comes at an angle. Remember that it's angling forward. When you start adding your muscle structures, you can clearly see how that works. That's your belly button, remember? Rib cage, spine, head, body. How to draw necks without making them look too straight. Okay, so you're telling me that your necks are like this? Right? I'm guessing that you are telling me that your necks do that. That's a completely straight neck. That's not necessarily wrong. There is a possibility for your neck to do that, but you would have a little bit more volume towards the back. So the head naturally comes into your back at a curve because your head, your skeletal system, is kind of like this. Okay? You're going to have your ear, and then you're going to have space for your brain, and then your spine curves in. So you have your pocket for your brain right here. I call that the brain pocket, and then your spine. So you always have to give yourself your brain pocket. Brain pocket, spine. If you don't want it to look so straight, remember that your head connects at an angle to your ribcage. So your back is always going to have this sort of motion to it. And when you start adding things like collarbones and stuff like that, and shoulders and muscles, that's when you start losing track of that part. Okay? Because you don't always see it. You don't see it because of the shoulders. You don't see it because of the other muscles. You don't see it because of the hair. You don't see it because of a lot of things. But the way that the body part works is like this. You have your rib cage. The top of your rib cage is going to be the top of your spine. So the very top of your shape for your rib cage is going to be the back of your spine. From there, your front of your rib cage is going to be a little lower. I normally just identify that by drawing a little circle at the top of my shapes. Whatever I draw, I just draw a little circle. Okay? That gives me the back and the front point. And also gives me the hole for my neck. My neck is going to come back from the back. My spine is the connecting point to my head. This is where my bone is. The muscle's connected and everything, but that is the connecting point to my rib cage. So I need to focus on my spine much more than I need to focus on the front of my neck or the head. At this point, the back of the spine is more important to knowing how to connect the head. Now we see that there's volume towards the front of the rib cage from the neck. So our head goes forward from there. The volume for our head goes forward. So shapes and positions like looking up become more like a cylinder. So this is not this. This is hard. This is hard to understand when you're trying to connect shit. Okay? Because you don't really have any mapping points. But if you think about it like a cylinder, and you just draw your inner circles like we've been talking about, you already have something that goes from one side to the other. So this could be the jawline for your characters. And to the neck. That's a really long neck, but you guys get the idea. So that is essentially how you can see it. You can use your cylinder as a guideline to teach you how to draw the neck properly. A cylinder is a much more conducive shape for a face than a sphere, because it gives you everything you require. It gives you your jaw, because it already gives you all those lines that go from one side to the other. You got to add a little bit of space in the back to make it look, like proper. But that seems like a very small, like thing to have to do to be able to get your shapes actually proper from the get-go. I don't know. You tell me. To me, that seems like a much more easy, viable way to learn how to draw the head, because it also gives you your hairline. I don't know. I find it incredibly easy to draw my heads like this. I normally used to find it incredibly hard to draw even the most simple shapes, because it was just, I couldn't understand it, man. I couldn't understand the way that they were doing it. Like, for me, it took a very long time to understand this. Moving that in space was a nightmare. Knowing like the spacing of like the eyes, learning how like things have to move, and then trying to draw the neck. I always thought that I never knew where to connect the neck. It was like, is it inside of there? Is it at the edges? Like, that looks like a superhero. What if I wanted to draw a character that had a little thin neck? Like, it was always super confusing. When I started drawing them like cylinders, it was like, oh, okay, cool. So now I have my head real fast. And now my neck is already there. I just have to either thin it out if I want a character with a thin neck, or I can keep it like a massive neck like the Hulk or whatever. It all depends on what I want to create. And it's just a lot more controlled and I don't lose the track of my jaw or anything else that I'm going to require to be able to draw my character. I don't know. So I find that method of drawing heads way more intuitive, and it's not just for cartoons. You can do caricatures and stuff like that really easy too. Just start exaggerating lines. Right, so it depends on how you want to play around with it, but you have access to a lot of cool stuff by approaching it like this. So I would suggest try it, see if it's something that suits the way that you like to draw, and then, see if that works out. When starting out, drawing things as shapes as, it's hard. The arms of a character are literally harder, but I'm getting it. Why would the arms of the character be harder? No. It makes it easier. Hold on. Hold your horses. So let me show you how you connect a rib cage to a circle to a cylinder. And now you connect and you create a body. Your arms are just a little triangle that go beyond from the top and the bottom of this, creating your collarbone. This is where your shoulders and your arms connect. It becomes a little cylinder that comes out from there. So the simplified version is this. The or complex version would be this side. This is how you would simplify it. This is how you would start to add all your detail. Sort of hair, whatever. Start adding shadows, muscle fibers, muscle overlapping lines, and maybe clothing. Let's come some shorts. So this is how you would start, and this is how you would start advancing. And then eventually, guys, you're gonna get to the point where you'll be able to draw just like a little blobby, and you'll be able to just draw your overlapping shapes. And you'll be able to draw your bodies like that. It's gonna come to the point one day that you'll just be able to position your characters from nothing. If you practice the way that I teach you guys, this is eventually the goal. Being able to just draw anatomically semi-correct characters from absolutely nothing. So when it comes down to storyboarding, it comes down to comic books, you're going to be a lot more well-suited to be able to draw your things like that. So you got to learn in steps. Can you do a profile of someone sitting? Yeah. So if someone's sitting, we need to draw whatever they're sitting on. If it's a profile, it's going to be a chair. So let's draw the back of the chair. Let's draw the leg, chair. So now we have a chair. Well, the body mass is going to have to be on this chair. So we're going to draw a circle on this chair. Our sushi is going to come up and then touch the ground at some point. So we're going to go from the top and the bottom. We create two lines, 1, 2, and it goes to the ground. We ground our shape. Now, the other leg could be doing anything you want, but I'm going to cross it. So I'm going to have it come out, come back in space, and overlap this one, creating a little bit of foreshortening. Now, this person can have their spine, right? Their spine is going to be in the back of their shape, so you can choose wherever it's going to be leaning. If you want the character to be leaning forward, you're going to have the head coming this way. If you want the character reading a book or leaning forward, you're going to have that shape coming this way. So your spine, again, is the bone that controls the movement of your body and your head. So learning how your spine works, and it's the back of your body, learning how to pivot that on this little circle helps you understand how to draw characters in different positions. Learning that your body is controlled by your body. You got to just learn what part of your body is controlling it, where it pivots, how it moves. So if you were leaning forward, maybe reading a book or like doing something here, something like that. If you're leaning back, just chilling, like a villain, like, yeah. You be good for Disney making movies. Yeah, I could probably I could probably work for Disney. I don't think there's a doubt that I would be able to find a place within the structures of Disney. Do I want to work for Disney? No, I do not. Do I want to work for any major studio? No, I do not. It's not my biggest concern about my career. It's not to make someone else famous or a lot of money, with my abilities. That has never been my concern. My concern has always been, hey, look out for Rod. Make sure that Rod can create things with his brain every day, right? Make sure Rod is using his information and his knowledge to benefit Rod, not some corporation, not some crazy rich dude already. No. If it don't benefit me, I don't want it. If it doesn't benefit me, I don't want to work for you. And honestly, working at a place where I'm just a credit or a little like line in the back end of everything is just not worth it for me. My ego is too big for that. My ego is huge. This machine runs off props and ego boosts. And I don't think any company can probably provide that because they don't see you as valuable. They just see you as an asset. The moment that you become too expensive or you are not worth it, they let you go. Just look at what Hasbro just did. Look at what Hasbro just did to their artists that came up with one of the most profitable things that they ever did. I don't trust companies. I don't want to work for a company if I can help it. And it's just going to be the case from now. And like I'm going to actively do whatever I need to in my career to have to never depend on working a 9 to 5 ever again. And even if that means downsizing my life considerably, I don't care anymore. I'm 40 years old. I've lived a very nice, happy, long life of like working my ass off and never getting anything in return. So, towards the end of my career, towards the end of my life, the end half of my life, I want to make sure that I'm doing the things I want, not the things that are just going to try to make me popular or the things that are going to make me the next famous person. Like, no, I just want something that makes me feel joyful. And that is teaching. So that is a beneficial thing for all of us. I teach, you guys learn, you guys go and create your awesome, beautiful worlds. You guys send me tickets when you guys open your theme parks. And then I live my life happy. That sounds like a perfect trade. Oh, I want front of the line passes too, by the way. I don't want no just general admission thing. I want to feel special. I want to be the first, and I want to have like a special ticket. It's going to say like mentor ticket or something. I'm 38 and I feel what you're saying. Yeah. You know, like I understand that most of the people in my life have not lived past 65, and I'm already 40. So that means that I have an average. I might live longer because I'm actually healthier than most of my people in my family. But on average, I'm probably going to live about 25 more years. I talk about my mortality a lot, and mostly because it doesn't bother me. I speak about my death and what might happen after I die and stuff like that a lot because it doesn't bother me. It's not something that is necessarily like panicking to me. I've had a lot of life, like really close encounters in my life, and I probably shouldn't be alive right now for many reasons. So any years that I have are valued exponentially because I probably shouldn't be here right now. So in the last span of my life, I want to bring as much joy as I can to the world, right? It's not for personal benefit. This is not going to be for making myself famous or whatever. If something comes from it, amazing. I just hope that I can make a living doing what I'm doing right now. As long as I keep making a living with what I'm doing, I find that to be success. So for the rest of my life, I want to produce and generate assets that will help the next few generations of artists to be able to do the things that they need to and learn the things they need to in a fun, engaging way that doesn't kill your drive to do what you love. Because I think that's what happens in art schools. I realize that's way, way, way too late in my career. But I realized that the thing that I love the most about art was taken away from me when I was doing art school. Because I was pretty much brainwashed into thinking that the things that I liked were not important. That the things that I liked were never going to make me a living. And the things that I liked never were going to be valued by anybody except for me. So I should give them up. That was probably the most devastating thing that ever happened to me in art school. And I never even realized that until later on when I went to therapy. Like, I discovered this through therapy. I didn't discover this through normal means. Like, when I was talking about my process with my therapist, and I was like, yeah, I don't feel joy in what I do anymore. He was like, well, you stopped doing what you wanted. Therefore, you feel unfulfilled because now you're using your creative talents to fulfill somebody else's vision of what was happiness instead of doing it for yourself. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? Just tell me right now? I feel like you insulted me, but I don't know how. And I was like, he's like, yeah, like, think about it. You go to art school and you were probably not very good at art. So you were very easily manipulated by subjectivity to somebody else's likings. If you ever had a teacher that was like, oh, fuck anime. Oh, no, the Japanese cartoons. If it was a bitter old animation student or animation teacher, like the one I had, he hated anime because I think he had to do some hentai stuff to get by at some point, and he just absolutely hated the art form because of that. So his subjectivity shut out a lot of people in that classroom that loved anime, and that's what they wanted to do, right? It wasn't like, oh, wait, no, here, well, let me tell you why it's not why it's not possible in your country. Nah, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like, oh, well, that market isn't very big in here, so it's going to be really hard. No, it wasn't like that. It was like, oh, you draw that stuff, I'm going to fail you. That was more so the actual feeling that you got and the aggressive nature that you got from those teachers because they had a personal inkling against that. But, I understand why they tell you that, but they don't know how to explain it. So let me explain it to you, why they tell you this shit, okay? Let me tell you why they tell you not to draw in your anime styling until you understand your foundations. Drawing like this is really cool. Drawing with like really cool shapes and styles and glosses and highlights and stuff like that is really, really cool. Don't get me wrong. That's beautiful. But if you don't understand the whole concept of how this shape is built, it's going to be really hard for you to take that shape and draw it in perspective and horizon, 3/4 from the top, from the side, stuff like that, right? This is going to be really hard, and sometimes it's going to look wrong. The reason being is that you're not really basing it on any sort of structure. You're just trying to copy eye styles that somebody else has drawn. Most of the time, I'm not going to say always, but most of the time, people forget to realize that the eyeball, regardless of whatever style you choose, is normally round. And then the eyelids that you choose for it are what create the styling that you want to look at. If you want to have like a nice, cool, like anime styling, you just add really awesome looking eyelids or eyelashes, and now you have a really cool, dope, awesome styling to it. And if you don't want something that detailed, you don't need something that detailed. It could just be something as simple as 2 lines, just overlapping each other. But what you decide to do with that energy, with that idea, is up to you. You can do a billion different styles inside that same conceptual stuff. From animals to dragons to cool comic book characters to just simple dots. If that's what you want. But all these are based on the whole concept. Even this is based on the concept that the eye is a sphere and 2 lines go around it. That is the whole concept of an eyeball. So that is why a lot of people tell you not to start drawing an anime. Not because of the eyes, but that because if we learn like this, if we learn through stylizing, right? If we learn through the whole stylization process, and I am very familiar with a lot of it, if you learn like that, you're never going to be able to learn in a true anatomical way. Okay, it's going to be very hard for you to map a human structure based on this if you learn to draw this and you get comfortable with this. If you get comfortable with this, it's going to be really hard for you to understand how your structures work, because you're going to get so comfortable thinking that this is the right way to draw it that you're not going to understand the spacing. You're not going to understand the divots, what happens here, what happens there, how come this comes in, where are your cheekbones, where's everything like that. That's going to be really hard because this is style-based and like learning, and you're not really learning your body parts. You're learning how to copy somebody else's rendition of somebody that does know this. That is literally what happens. So have you ever played the game Telephone where you like start with a word, right? You're like dog, and then like multiple people say the word to each other, right? And then at the end, it's like city. It's a completely different thing towards the end. So essentially what happens when you draw from just stylization, you're not this person, because that's the person. The first person's the person that came up with it, so they probably know a lot more than that. You're trying to replicate from information that gets diluted down through stylization. So it's just going to affect you worse down the line than if you take the time to just play around with your basic shapes and start from scratch. Learn how to draw your shapes on a line so that you can get used to drawing things in perspective. Little tiny things like that become so important later on, right? But we skip this stuff because it's boring, because nobody wants to just go draw little balls on a circle. But when they try to draw a face in a different angle, they have such a hard time because they don't do these exercises. So if you have a hard time drawing shit in different perspectives, guess what? You need to draw things in perspective. So I'm going to give you an exercise that you can use, okay? You're not going to be lazy, and you're going to practice this, and you're going to be better. So you're going to start with a circle. And stage one. Stage one is draw a happy face. That's simple, right? Cool. Stage two. You're going to draw a circle inside, and you're going to draw a happy face on that little guideline. Stage three. You're going to draw a guideline, and you're going to draw a happy face going around the entirety of the guideline, in the front, towards the top, and in the back. Seeing it like a tread. Essentially, what you're doing is you're following a point around your entire shape by drawing that circle. Stage four. You're going to draw a cross. 2 circles now. This intersection is now going to help you pinpoint exactly where your face goes. So now if I want this face to look this way, I can do that. Now I have a little more control over it. Okay? So this is literally how you start. And then little by little, you start adding more features. And you control every step of the way. And if you don't know how to draw something in a certain aspect, then you go back and you start drawing things a little bit simpler. You little by little, by little, by little, by little, get to the point where you'll be able to add any detail you want to any face you want, because you'll have practiced those things countless times. And you're not going to be affected as much by not knowing how to move a simple shape in space. So it takes time. It takes time. You're not going to learn how to do that overnight. But doing these exercises helps you. Understanding you can do with every feature like this. If you want to do just noses, draw a triangle and then draw noses. And see how you can draw your nose in every single perspective. If you can, then you can move on to more detail. Okay? If you have that mastered, then go on to eyes. See if you can draw eyes in every direction possible. Okay? This is the way that you master shit. Same thing with ears. You can do the same thing with eyebrows, mouths, noses, eyes, eyebrows. Everything can be guided as long as you are able to draw some guides for yourself. And that is the purpose of learning how to draw through your shape. So you can find both ears and then find those connecting points to the neck and stuff like that. That's why we learn perspective, that's why we learn anatomy, and that's why we learn all this stuff. So, any questions on this? Any questions on your homework? Because this is your homework now. Any questions? I think I see my next warm-up stream. Yeah, that's a good one. No questions. All right, that's great to hear. That's fantastic. Let me screenshot. Okay, I'm going to zoom out so you guys have... I'm going to let you guys screenshot for like 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Next one. This is another exercise you guys can practice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, awesome. All right, so let's move on to the next stage. What's the next question? What's the next thing we have on on board. How would you draw hair with this? Well, hair is at the top of your head. So once you learn how to draw your head, you're going to end up learning how your hairline works. Your hairline goes around your skull and down your neck a little bit. Okay? This is your hairline. Once you learn how to find your hairline, hair is just anything that you want to either come up or come up and then down. It always goes up though. It's either up or just up and then down, and it wraps around your body like a cylinder. So that's essentially what happens with hair. Hair is essentially a cone. If it falls down, it's like a cone around the sphere. It wraps around it, and it falls and drapes around it. So this is essentially the concept of hair. When you have hairlines, the hair comes from those sections. And that's literally the whole concept of hair. Just remember that it goes up and then down. It always goes up and then down. So hairline and up, down. What about hands? Do we have space for hands? I think we have space for hands. Can you do someone standing but their back is facing you? So I'll do you one better. I'm going to draw a face looking forward and a person looking back. There you go. So a person facing forward, a person facing back. From the front, I have my hip bones. From the back, I have my butt. Spine in the back, rib cage in the front. Hip bones connect, and my legs overlap in two sections. From the back, they overlap up. From the bottom, they overlap down. Cool. Then we have our muscles. We have our circle for our neck. We go into our collarbone. We go to the edge of our shape. Then from the front, from this collarbone to the middle, it's a U. In the back, it's a W. Our arms and our shoulders connect. And then we get our sides of our body, and then here we have the upper butt. And that is kind of how you would segment your body as a front or back belly button. How do you get proportions from a side profile? The same way you would get proportions from the front. If you know how to draw a front, well, you just draw the same shapes from the side. Remember, the top of your rib cage is the top of your back. So the back of your spine is always going to be where your back spine is. Your head is going to come forward from that spine. And your neck just connects to the front of your body. Yay! You have a little triangle from this circle coming to the side. Your chest would be up here. Your shoulders would be right here. Your butt would stick out a little bit. Your thighs would come up. Calves would come back. Feet would come down. Hip bones. Then your arm would be coming from here. Let's draw it down this way so you can actually see it. And I don't like drawing completely flat shapes, so I'm going to draw my other foot coming this way. And he's going to be like I love you with the passion of 1,000 suns, my love. Mi amor. Any advice on improving penmanship? Draw a lot. Draw with pen. Draw with pen and see how much mistakes you make. Now, don't be discouraged by the mistakes. Just learn to be cleaner. It's going to take a while. Penmanship is just something that we don't really get much instruction for that, right? We just kind of have to learn how to maneuver the materials on our own most of the time. So, because we all hold the pencils differently, not because I don't want to share my knowledge about that. It's because I hold my pencil differently than other people. You might not hold it the same way. I can't teach you pen pressure. That is one thing I cannot teach you. I cannot teach you pen pressure. So I can't be like, well, you're going to do this instead of this. I can't teach that. I can tell you to do it with a light touch, but I can't teach you how I can get such a light line with a ballpoint pen. That just comes from understanding and pen pressure and understanding that I can lightly draw something or I can heavily draw something. And if I draw something heavy next to something light, I can make the light one disappear. Right? I can make entire sketch lines disappear by just adding enough contrast. So that is something that is really hard for me to explain because it's not something that can easily be done unless I can have you in person and I can see how you're drawing. I would need to actually actively see how you are drawing so that I can help you, guide you to be like, oh, well, no, don't put pressure like that. You know, it's just really hard to explain otherwise. Some things you just can't explain online. And that's a big reason why I want to do this in person. Like, one of the big reasons that I want to learn, like, or go get a master's degree or something, so I can actually teach human beings in person. Because that's literally the best way that you can approach it. The best way to approach learning is in person. Like, I have had one-on-one sessions with people in person, not like online or anything, and I've seen a gigantic growth, like so drastically in like a matter of minutes, because you can guide them exactly down to like their hand motions and be like, no, hold on, let me show you this. And then boom, they click. And once it clicks, you just see their brains go like, oh my gosh. And you're like, yep, I know that feeling. Yep, you're welcome. And everybody, I like to think that anybody that meets me leaves being a little bit better, right? I have grown to be so comfortable with the way that I talk about my career, the way I talk about my passions and the things I love, that I think genuinely, without feeling like a little bit too cocky or like, I'm awesome, I honestly think that most people that meet me end up leaving a much better person. And I really, really, really like that. I noticed that even this last couple times that I've been socializing out. I've been socializing, guys. I've been going out and doing shit. Like, very little stuff, but I've been doing it. I've been doing it. Like, you guys should be proud of me because I don't normally do that stuff. But I'm actually going to go to, like, a New Year's party and everything. And, like, it's like, I've never done that. So it's going to be fun. Probably I'm going to be, like, anxiously, like, ridden with anxiety the whole time. But I noticed that everybody around me, whenever I do go out, because it's not often, everybody tends to gravitate around me. And it's not because I'm normally like super charismatic or charming. It's because people just find me interesting and funny, I guess. Funny looking, maybe. But it's just, I'm learning to adapt to learning and accepting that I'm an interesting human being. And through therapy, again, has been coming up that I need to learn how to make myself feel important. as opposed to making it somebody else's job to make me feel important. And that's something interesting too, because for a while now, I've had like a little bit of popularity online. So it's really nice to have that option, to have that platform. But I didn't know that a lot of the people that are around me, like people that have been with me for a very long time, saw me as a privileged fuck. Like, and I was like really devastated and heartbroken because of that. Somebody thought that what I had was just a privilege that just stumbled upon me. And I was like, oh, no. Hold on. I've been doing this for 7, 8 years. 7, 8, or 9 years or something like that. I've been doing this for a long time. So it's not like something like this came on my hand. It didn't like stumble on my lap. Right? And it was just like incredibly sad to hear that somebody that I respected so much, whose opinion I was like, honestly, like super like tied to, just saw me like that. That's how they saw me. And when I realized that, I stopped caring what other people thought of me. Once I realized that it was me versus everybody at that point, because even the people that are closest to me were seeing me as some sort of like, I don't know, privileged person or something. And it was like, yeah, you can't really even like trust on other people to root for you. That just sucks. So I try not to do that to people. I try to love people and show people love the way that I want to be loved. So my encouragement does not come with conditions, and it does not come with expectations of anyone. I'm an artist, and people think the same for me, but we are good, so yeah. So for taller, shorter people, you mess with the proportions. You don't scale down everything, right? Well, no. Let's draw two people. We're gonna draw a normal Joe. Has a rib cage, a head, collarbone, and hip bones. This is common Joe. Right? Common Joe has a rib cage, hip bones, and whatever. If I want to make him smaller, well, I just make the rib cage smaller, the hip bone smaller, and the leg smaller. Like, you just proportion things to how you need them. There's no real right proportions or wrong proportions. It's all about what you need for your character. That's why we segment these guys into different parts, so that you don't have to choose one single way to draw something. You have the ability to change that body structure any way you feel like. They're all approached the same way, every single one of them. So it's not like you're changing the way that you learn to draw or anything. You're just changing the size in which you draw them. I like starting with the rib cage or with the belly button. Like I said, the sushis are really good for posing because it gives you a center of mass, it gives you your hip bones, and it gives you the ability to draw your upper body stupidly quick on top of that. And then when I decide that I want to stylize it, I can choose any sort of style, body shape that I want, and I just mold it to my character. I was asking because you hear some art teachers, I fucking hate that rule. I hate the 8 head tall rule. Woo, that annoys me so much. Let's see. That's 6, 8 heads. The whole notion of drawing 8 head tall characters is to understand how your body is proportioned, right? Doing this is absolutely unnecessary. Who the hell is going to take 8 heads and move them in space to know that you're drawing something 8 heads tall? Who the hell is going to do that? I am sorry, but that is incredibly... No, that's just dumb. Like, that's overly complicated. You don't need that. Like, just learn the proportions of your body by learning how to gesturize these things easier. If you want a character that's taller, draw it taller. If you want a character that's smaller, draw it smaller. Proportions are all a variety of things. There's no real reason to do something 8 heads tall every time. Like, literally no fucking point. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous to think that everybody is 8 heads tall. And then to draw everybody 8 heads tall is just silly. Because everybody's different. And when you get and you lock yourself into those notions where it's just 8 heads tall, you end up locking yourself into this little pocket that you can't really break out of really easy. So don't think about that. These are dumb, hard ways to learn how to draw. Right? That's hard. Like, learning how to do this like that is going to put you in a box. So don't do that. At least I highly discourage it. I highly discourage it. Because it's just not going to be conducive to learning. For example, people that draw like this have a hard time going from a male to a female figure. Like, they have such a hard time because they don't understand the whole concept of hip bones. They think that they're too, like, their things have to match up to these things. So it becomes harder because you just start measuring through heads instead of seeing volume and seeing things like that. How do you determine how big the cheek is from the side? Well, let's see. If we have a 3/4 face, we would have eye socket 1, eye socket 2, mouth shape, and brain space. Cool. So now we have a skull really fast. Okay? So now that we have a skull, we can actually explain how your cheekbone and the spacing works. So when you have something like this, you have your eye sockets, and around the eye sockets is going to be your eyebrows. This is also going to determine where your eyes are going to go. Your eyes go at the top of your nose canal, and they're 2 little spheres. The spheres normally have eyelids in the form of hemispheres that give you styling, looks, stuff like that. There's a triangle right here in the midline that we drew. That triangle, if you draw a dot and connect all dots, you have a nose. Cool. This side is your cheekbone. This side is your cheekbone. Unless you have some magical thing like really big chubby cheeks, if your character is really big and chubby, maybe this would stick out. But unless you have that, your actual body part doesn't really go much farther than that. You don't get that big lump on the side unless you have a big lump of cheek for a person that's chubby or something. The distance between here to your ear is splitting the brain space in half and drawing your ear. So from your eye socket, don't draw your eye all the way to the edge. You're going to have your brain space, which would be this. You can have that be different sizes too, by the way. It doesn't have to be like the wide thing. As long as you have that spacing right, it's fine. It's going to look good. Okay? As long as you keep your spacing right, you can change your proportions to be anything you want. So that little mid-circle, the bottom of it connects to the chin. And now you have your mouth and your spacing for your jaw. So as you can see, if you want to create cheeks and you want to create someone chubby, let's draw someone chubby. Your cheekbone is right here. You would need to add extra volume to both sides. Not just this side, you need to add it to both sides. Okay? When you add it to both sides, then you get that volume and it looks right. If you're drawing your characters like this, you're drawing them completely stylized. This is not based on any sort of real shit. This is a style-based choice, and you got to stop doing that if you don't understand it. If you don't understand how that works, stop doing that shit. Don't stop doing that. It's going to be such a bad habit. You're going to be drawing all your characters whenever you see a little bump, instead of thinking about it as your cheekbone, right? You're going to be just drawing bumps coming out for no reason. Don't draw just bumps coming for no reason. It's your cheekbone. That is the reason why these bumps happen. Okay? Yeah, Wes, I'm looking at you. You fixed this, though. Wes actually fixed that problem on himself. He had a very bad issue with that in his first drawings. I had to give him some shit. Remember, there's no lines outside of your guidelines. Learn how to draw your guidelines for a proper skull, and then you have all your guidelines for all the lines you need. Okay? You don't have to draw things outside of where you are being indicated you can draw, or you should draw. If you want to later on get those details, then you have to just change the way you draw them. So let's say that you do want that big line right there. You just have to remember that that's your cheekbone line, and you have to match it on both sides. Okay. Remember to match it because it's on both ends. So if you do have that, you may gotta remember that that's just a protruberation of volume that's coming from your cheekbone. And it helps to understand that a little bit more when you go and look at my theories. I have this theory online. It's called the RODGON method. Or if you guys have an Imagine Effects magazine for this month, Imagine Effects published me this month. So Imagine Effects, woohoo! It's 15 tips and tricks. And it's in there. Yeah. Anyways, hope you guys learned a little. I hope you guys laughed a little. I hope that you guys had a little bit of a aha moments while we were drawing today. We had a wonderful 400 average amount of people in the chat today. You guys liked my stream 22,000 times. That is insane. Your fingers must hurt. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. What day is today? Friday? Saturday? It's Wednesday? I thought it was Friday. Oh, dude, I am so out of touch of reality here. Okay, hold on. This changes everything. Okay. What? It's Wednesday? Anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday. I have things I gotta go change. I gotta go change some fucking appointments. I thought it was Friday. Oh my God. Okay, I guess I gained 2 days. Yeah, that's fine. Anyways, here is what we learned today. Our next live will probably be this afternoon, honestly. Whenever I get to the point where I get overwhelmed with other work, I use streaming as my outlet for procrastination. So I will be probably here a little bit sooner than you probably think. Our afternoon streams are normally less teachy, and we are more like just sketch session-y. So that if you guys want to come just observe how somebody explores like different topics and how I go and like I just venture into my own little world of like learning, right? If you guys want to come along and observe that, I welcome you guys to do so. Sometimes seeing somebody draw and just little explanations here and there are what help you click things better. And I like drawing really cute things too. So it's not just anatomy parts. Anyways, hope you guys have a lovely day. I hope you guys kick butt. I hope you guys listen to Lou Vega and Mambo number 5 at least one point today. And if you guys don't, then are you really living? Are you really living? Have a wonderful day, everybody. Take care. Love you all. See you guys soon.